Do not buy the Ford Bronco. The Blue Oval's off-roader is undoubtedly a good-looking and capable vehicle. However, it has been riddled with issues ever since it was first introduced. From catastrophic engine failures to horrible quality control and drivetrain issues, it's easy to see why the Bronco's reputation is far from clean. And if it continues onwards like this, the only thing certain about the Bronco's future is how uncertain it will be. Countless powertrain issues. Ever since it was initially brought to the public, the Ford Bronco has had its fair share of mechanical gremlins that have been plaguing the car. The most problematic out of all power plant choices has been the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. The most prominent issue that this engine had was the loss of motive power at highway speed without the possibility of a restart. Now, this loss of power could result in fatal events, which is why Ford deemed the issue as a catastrophic engine failure. As a result, more than 25,000 Broncos were recalled, and it was established that the issue stemmed from the engine valves failing. This is because Ford decided to use silichrome light, which is excessively hard and brittle under over-temperature conditions. Apart from this, other problems were present with other engine choices such as electronic failures, injector issues, and many other smaller ones. However, these issues weren't the only problems that arose with the SUV. There's a far more sinister issue surrounding the Blue Oval's favorite mudrunner, which is the fact that the Bronco could catch on fire. One of the most prominent issues that the Bronco has is the tendency to go up in flames. This is because the fuel injectors on various EcoBoost engines have been proven faulty, which could result in gasoline leaking out and collecting near hot ignition sources. As a result, Ford has deemed this issue a major fire hazard, and because of this, a whole heap of 2022 and 2023 models have been recalled. And the worst thing about this is the fact that the big bad Bronco isn't the only car with this problem. The smaller Bronco Sport has been far more consistent with this issue, and with it, so was the Ford Escape that it shares its platform with. The most problematic engine is undoubtedly the 1.5-liter EcoBoost, which has made the biggest part of Ford's 43,000 recalled units. While yes, the issue with these engines have been resolved, we still would advise against buying any of these two model years secondhand because not all of them have been checked out or fixed. Ever-present transmission issues. Ford's 10-speed automatic transmission has been an okay gearbox. Sure, it might seem a bit indecisive from time to time, and a car such as the Bronco would have probably benefited from a more elastic 8-speed or something else. We aren't complaining. It offered good gas mileage and allowed for silent and comfortable rides. However, even with that in mind, the transmission has had its fair share of reliability issues that might have drawn some people away from it. One of the most prominent ones is the fact that the torque converter tends to be very unreliable because of its non-flat friction surface and bad stator assembly. And while it won't break due to it being enormous, it's still rather iffy to say the least. Apart from this, the gearbox has been known for its clutch assembly issues, specifically the E and B assemblies, as well as the valve body, fuel pump, and oil pan issues. Oh, and if you think that the manual transmission might be your saving grace, think again. It's even worse than the automatic. The MT88 manual transmission is well known for its rotational scraping noise, which is especially prominent during days colder than 10 degrees Celsius. Plus, there have also been issues with the first and second gear, as shifting gears is oftentimes very rough. Plus, the transmission has also been known to slip, which is not something you want to hear about your no-nonsense off-road SUV. As a result, you're probably better off with the automatic, despite it also being a rather mediocre choice. Abysmal quality control. It's simply unacceptable that a vehicle at this price point has so many quality control issues. However, the Bronco has been quite consistent with being extremely inconsistent in terms of how good it's built. The first problem is the fact that the paint used on modern Broncos is of very low quality. As a result, it tends to chip rather quickly, especially once you go off-road or on a motorway. Honestly, how stupid is it to make a rugged and capable SUV only for it to be completely let down by a brittle paint job? The issue is also very much present on the Bronco Sport, and we're just completely left in awe at how badly Ford messed up at the whole point of offering a rugged truck. There also has been an abundance of electrical issues that have seen a dawn with the Ford Bronco, most of which stem from a very low standard when it comes to installing the electricals, and while sure these aren't complicated or expensive to replace, they're still extremely annoying. Apart from this, the Bronco has also been noted to go through brake pads and rotors much faster than expected, as well as oftentimes pulsating and vibrating when braking. Its underpinnings have also been rather noisy on some models, which, once again, shouldn't be a thing on a 3-year-old model. However, that isn't even the worst quality issue about the Bronco, as all model years have been known for their horrible interior quality. When the Ford Bronco was initially announced, nobody expected it to be a luxurious vehicle, and nobody asked that of it. However, a vehicle that costs upwards of $50,000 on average should not be made mostly out of cheap, scratchy plastics on the inside. And if that wasn't enough, the vinyl seats on the lower-end models seem to have been made from the cheapest possible material. Not only that, but they also lack any profiling for comfort, especially in the back. Furthermore, the vehicle's interior fit and finish should at least be made to a standard that prohibits constant squeaking and rattling. As a result, going over bumps and potholes in the Bronco sounds extremely cheap and takes away from the overall experience. Sure, some of you might defend it and say that it's designed to be rugged, not luxurious. However, the recently revealed 4Runner showed us that a well-built interior can also be rugged. Not just that, but the range-topping Broncos have decent seats and a well-built interior, which is what baffles us even more. It couldn't have cost that much more to make the lower-end models at least a bit more decent, could it? However, these issues could all be fixed with a bit of quality control. What can, however, is incredibly low cargo space. The Ford Bronco's fundamental issue arises from the fact that its storage space is completely abysmal. The larger four-door Ford Bronco has just 35 cubic feet of cargo behind the back seats with a hardtop. For reference, the smaller Bronco Sport has virtually the same cargo space. And most other compact and midsize SUVs outclass the large Bronco. The Toyota 4Runner has 47.2 cubic feet, which makes the Bronco seem rather pitiful from a practical standpoint compared to it. Oh, and the funny thing is that the two-doors cargo space is a whopping 10 cubic feet smaller, making its rear cargo area virtually useless. That said, the Ford Bronco's cargo area is still better than the Jeep Wrangler's. However, the Bronco is also designed to be a much more versatile vehicle than the Wrangler. A car such as this, especially the four-door version, should have a bigger cargo area, especially since it'll mostly be reserved for family use, and 35 cubic feet isn't exactly family-friendly. Finally, another big issue of the SUV arises from the fact that the Bronco eats into its sibling sales. Ever since the Ford Bronco came to be, its platform donor and closest sibling, the Ford Ranger, has been having a bit of a crisis. You see, despite it being a more practical vehicle, most Ranger buyers just decided to go for the Bronco because of its gorgeous looks and cool heritage. Also, the fact that the Ford Maverick also came out nearly the same time as the Bronco further made the life of the venerable Ranger as difficult as can be. As a result, despite it getting a full-on redesign recently, the Ranger hasn't been gaining in popularity. While this issue might seem meaningless to you, the result of this is the fact that Ford cannot focus on improving their model's quality, as the company must work on keeping some of its namesakes alive. Plus, the fact that Ford is completely oblivious to the fact that the Bronco's inception harmed one of their more popular vehicles should worry you, as it just shows how much the brand lacks insight. Albeit not horrible, the Bronco should have been better, and even though its competition isn't much better in this regard, the Toyota 4Runner, especially the recently revealed one, completely dominates the Blue Oval's offering. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.